Hello everyone, Revit here. So in this video tutorial, I'll show you how to create this parametric organic bench in Revit. And also, if you want access to my files and the render I've created, make sure you check the link in the description. It helps me out a lot, and make sure you subscribe. So let's get started. Okay guys, so first things first, let's set our units. So UN is a shortcut for units. I like working with centimeters. You can either change it into meter, feet and inches, decimal inches, whatever you prefer. So in this tutorial, I'll be working with centimeters. Okay. Yeah, now we can get started. So first thing, let's create a floor. So we will need a floor where we have to place our model. Create a floor, make sure it's pretty big. So Revit means revise and edit. So I create my form first and then I type in my dimensions. So let's make this room maybe 20 meters. Yeah, I think that works. And let's make this 10 meters. So that's 1000 centimeters. Yeah, I think that looks good. And before you finish out of your floor, make sure it's at generic 150 mm. We don't need anything too thick right now. Finish, and now we have a floor created. Next, let's create a wall. So I will be creating walls on two sides of this room. The reason I'm not creating it on all four sides right now is because it might obstruct our view of the model while we are creating it. And now let's set this to level 2, so this wall goes up to a height of level 2. And location line, change it to finish face exterior. Yeah, now we can start modeling our walls. Just follow along these lines. There we have it. We have walls on two sides of our floor. And if you want a 3D view of it, go into 3D view. I'm holding down my left shift key and using the scroll button of our mouse. Holding down the scroll button of our mouse, I'm just panning it around. Yeah, there we have a room. I think it looks fine. Now we can start creating our mass, the organic seating. So how do we do that? First, you go to massing and site. Make sure you change this into show mass forms and floors so there won't be any problem with our views while we create our mass. And then in place mass. Okay, let's give it a name, organic seating. Yeah, I think that works. Okay. Now we are in our mass. So now we have to start modeling our mass. So how we do this? So the way we do this is by setting up reference planes. So what are reference planes? So in Revit, we have reference planes that can be used for two main purposes. Simply, they can be used to form a draft outline of where you need to position certain elements. So essentially, they are in a way like a construction line. So they are not necessarily in your drawing. They are just construction lines which help create and place our geometry. And alternatively, they can be used to control the formation and position of our 3D geometry. So we'll set up like maybe 5 reference planes or 4. I'll show you how. Okay, let's make it a bit longer. This is our first reference plane. And for the second one, I'll just be using pick lines and using an offset of maybe 200 centimeters. That's 2 meters. Yeah. Third, fourth, and fifth. Yeah, I think so. Now we have drawn our reference planes. Now let's give it a name. Click to name. Let's name this 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course 5. Yeah, so we have our reference planes named. And now what we need is a view from, let's say, the south elevation. So we need a view from the south or the north to start, creating our geometry. So this is our south. So you go to elevations, south elevations, and you might not be able to see your reference plane right now. So that's okay. We haven't set it yet. And before I start setting my reference planes, I'll draw another reference plane with a height of 45 centimeters. So the reason I'm doing this is because since we are drawing seating, if we don't set a reference height, it might be too big. So a seating of 45 centimeter height should be ideal. And these are our reference planes. Remember the ones which you created earlier. So you click once and there we have our reference planes just to, give it a seating height. And with that set and done, we can start modeling. So you should go to model over here, model, and now we have to pick our reference plane. So at first we'll start creating a geometry in our reference plane 1. So click on that, okay, and make sure you set it to draw on work plane, because if it's set on draw on face, let's say if it comes in contact with the wall or something, it'll start drawing on the wall and will mess up our geometry. So set it to draw on work plane, and now we can start modeling our geometry. Okay, so this will be the base of our organic shape. Let's give it 70 centimeters, and that should work. Now spline tool, let's start drawing it. Give it some curves. So this is where the seating will be formed. Let's make it go straight a bit. Around this will be the center. So from here, let's just start curving it up a bit. And so this will be like a backrest. I think that works. Curve a bit. This will be your seating. And start curving it down now. So you are the architect of this form, so you can go crazy, create any form or shape which you find interesting and start modeling it. Now for the next one, change our reference plane to reference plane 2 and start creating your next geometry. Okay, so let's give it 70, spline, and start doing the same. Remember guys, it all depends on you, so you create these forms and make sure it's not maybe too wild. It might be a bit hard to construct, and curve it around. I think this works. So do the same for reference now, plane number 3. Start drawing your geometry. So do the same for reference plane 4 and 5. So I'll just fast forward this right now. Alright guys, so I have these 5 geometries modeled, and remember I was changing my reference planes while drawing it, right? So when we go to a 3D view, as you can see, we had a 2 meter offset between each reference planes. So this is how it came out. Now what you have to do is like bring it together in a single line. So what I do to do that, maybe go into a elevation. Maybe let's go to north elevation. And click on each geometry, and just by holding down the arrow key, I'll just drag it approximately into place. I think that should work. Do the same thing for the others. I'm just holding down the arrow key, guys. I'm just bringing it into place. I think that looks fine. Do the same for this now. Just make sure it's slides into position. That should work. And now do the same for the last one too. Okay, now this works. I think that looks fine. Maybe slide this one a bit more in. I think that should work. And now if you go to a 3D view, we can see it's approximately all of them are in the same line, right? Now what you have to do is select each one. I'm holding down the control key to select multiple geometry and go to create form solid form. So now as you can see, we have these organic solid form created. I think it looks a bit wild. It looks cool. So this is our base form, right? And now what is left is to create that ribbed geometry. So how do we do that? So essentially what I'll be doing is we'll create these void forms and then create multiple copies of it, so it looks like it looks like it's ribbed throughout the geometry. So to do that, you go to floor plan again and now create a rectangle. So go to rectangle, yeah, make sure it's at level 1, that's fine, and create a tiny rectangle. And remember guys, the rectangle shouldn't be really thick, so reduce its dimension to, yeah, let's give it a dimension of maybe 5 centimeter. That should work. Yeah, I think this is fine. The reason I'm doing this is because the spacing between each ribs, it should not be really big, so that's why I made it into 5. Now you go to your view, you select this rectangle, go to create form, void form. So what has happened here is Revit has created a void form for us, so there's nothing really, it's not really existing in space, but at the same time it is there. You can just play around with this, change the height. Yeah, I think that should work. Now what we have to do is repeat this void form throughout the structure, and hence we'll get that ribbed geometry. Now you go to maybe west elevation. Yeah, that should work. No, west should go to east. Yeah, sorry, now this should work. And right now this is the start of a structure, right? And as you know, since it's a void geometry, you are not really able to see it. So what you have to do is come to the end, the beginning of the structure, and just press your tab key so it cycles through your selection. And now as you can see, the void geometry is selected. So click on it and CO, that is a shortcut for copy. So now what you have to do is copy the structure throughout your form. So I'll just click once, give it, let's make it 10. Yeah, I think this should work. Do the same, CO, and make sure you have multiple selected. Select 10. Now this might only be a bit slow process, as you have to click multiple times. We cannot create an array right now in mass. So 10, and if you can see this void form, it's cutting through your mass, and hence we are getting that ribbed structure. 10. Alright guys, with that said and done, have a look at this. That is really ripped, oh my goodness. So we are almost towards the end of our project. So before I exit out of my mass, just click on your mass and then give it a material. So you go over here in your properties panel, go to material and finishes, click on that 3 small dots over there, and maybe search for some material. Search for a wood material. Let's see what comes up. Yeah, I think I'll go for this cherry maybe, or is cherry already loaded in? Appearance, see how it looks like. Updating. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Maybe try this one. Appearance. Let's go for this one maybe. I think this looks fine. So we'll go with this cherry. Okay. And we have a more material applied to it. So if you want to see that, just go through your tab option. Yeah, so then the mass is highlighted. Yes, you can see the material is set to cherry. Now you can finish your mass. Finish mass. Wait for it to load. And there we have it. Do I want to save it? Yes, save the project, definitely. That was pretty, task heavy file. So change it to organic seating. Okay, and that should work. And before we finish off the project, definitely move your mass into your room. So just, okay, let's use MV. So that is shortcut for move. Click on one side and move it in. Then there we have it. So before we start rendering this view, let us set a material to our floor. Go to edit type, go to edit under construction, insert a layer. So this will be a finish layer. Go to material, flooring. Let's see what options we have. Yeah, I think let's go for this oak flooring. Check its appearance. I think this should work. Yeah, okay, oak flooring. Okay. Thickness. Let's make it 3. Okay, like 2 centimeters. Okay. Okay. And we will be having a flooring to it. So if you change your view to realistic, there we have our oak flooring too, and there we have our wooden organic structure. So now that we have a flooring material finish applied, let's just change the material of the wall too. So what you have to do is select your wall, go to edit type, under construction, structure, edit, and what we have to do is insert a finish layer. So you click on insert, bring it down. So over here, as you can see, this side is the interior side, and you apply a finish layer. Choose the material. Let's check for bricks, any kind of brick, common brown. I think this should work. Yeah, I think that works. So let us load this into the project. Brick common brown, load it, click on it, apply, okay. Brick common brown, thickness, let's give it a 5 centimeter thickness, okay, apply, okay. And there you have it. So you have a brick finish, the interior, a wooden oak floor finish, and we have our organic seating right there. So now all that's left to do is to render it. So RR is the shortcut option for render. You play around with your settings and then you create your render. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.